Remember Peter Jennings, the journalist, the leader, the American institution.
Here in the South Vietnamese capital of Saigon.
In Jackson, Mississippi, in the occupied West Bank. From St. Peter's Square in Vatican City.
No one did it quite like Peter Jennings. 50 years in broadcasting, an enormous loss, an amazing legacy.
Welcome to the Thrift Store Rundown, bringing Hollywood home on a budget. On August 7, 2005, ABC News anchor and anchor in every sense of the word, Peter Jennings, passed away from lung cancer at the age of 67. 12 years ago to this very day, we will now honor his legacy with A Reporter's Life by Peter Jennings, bought for $6.99 and edited by Kate Daunton, Casey Fried Jennings, Peter's wife, and Lynn Sher, ABC News 2020 correspondent. Kate Daunton is one of the editors at Public Affairs, the publisher of this book. What follows is the biography of this book from the documentary group, Peter's Production Company, formerly PJ Productions. Peter Jennings, A Reporter's Life, an autobiography, tells the story of Jennings' extraordinary life and career through the words of his friends, family, colleagues, competitors, and those he covered. When Peter assumed the anchor chair back in the late 80s, he joined Dan Rather and Tom Brokaw to become the Big Three network news anchors, or as I like to call them, the Three Wise Men. Recorded in the immediate aftermath of the news anchor's death from lung cancer, this collection of memories capture his love for journalism and his passion for living. Jennings was a high school dropout who spent the rest of his life in pursuit of knowledge. But not only that, he traveled the world in search of stories, a notebook perpetually tucked into the back of his pants. He also carried a miniature copy of the Constitution, a testament to his love for the United States. Jennings, a Canadian, acquired American citizenship in 2003. The memories are detailed and tender, fiercely honest, and often funny. They reveal surprising facets of a man many of us felt we knew well. Throughout his life, Peter Jennings was driven by a passion to seek the truth and convey that truth accurately, simply, cleanly, and elegantly. In other words, he believed in searching for the truth. And when you find the truth, keep looking. He was a very suave, charismatic, and professional journalist in every sense of the word. And dashingly debonair. Us Peters have a tendency to charm women no matter what part of North America we hail from. This book was bought for $6.99, and I bought it for 25% off. Retail price is $27.95 US and $33.50 in Peter's homeland, Canada. A good majority of the recollections from his colleagues, companions, competitors, and the people who he covered are from a 2-hour documentary called Peter Jennings, Reporter, with some recollections slightly edited for use in this book. You can find the entire documentary on YouTube, and that will be a link in the description below. These are just some of the first-hand accounts of Peter's legacy through his work and work ethic, and one of his quotes. I can understand why Bob, Elizabeth, Charlie, Diane, and David all assumed the chair with big responsibility ahead of them. Their intention was not to replace Peter, but simply to carry on his legacy. It was World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, forever. That's the kind of spirit that still resonates at ABC News, because that's the kind of legacy that Peter left. And I am not a big ABC World News fan. However, I've seen enough of Peter Jennings to know what he did for ABC News, and how he always appreciated and respected the intelligence and credibility of his loyal viewing audience. Anyone who doesn't should find another place of work, and anyone who doesn't value the audience's loyalty should and will be held accountable. If not by somebody of the audience, then by someone else who can tell right away when somebody's being fraudulent and undermining the credibility of the viewing audience. But not Peter. Peter was far too much a class act to mislead the audience. So this is an oral history of his life, through his work, through his journalism, and who he was behind the scenes. That really comes through in chapter 10, called The Man, on page 217. There's a story about him having dinner with Tom Bogart after they got done skiing, and a woman comes up to their table and asks to take a picture with them. Tom respectfully declined, but Peter insisted that they have this picture taken with this fan. Tom was being rather gentle with his, letting the fan down gently, but Peter was insistent, saying this poor woman has mustered the courage to come to this table and ask us for a picture with her. The least we could do is give it to her. That's Peter. He valued the audience really more than anything else, I believe, in his career. And that is really, for me, the loving cup that really made Peter Jennings who he was. And the man is one of my all-time favorite chapters. If you are willing to skip ahead to certain chapters, I would highly recommend you start with The Man first. This chapter tells more about Peter's life off-camera, behind the scenes, as a husband and family man to Christopher, Elizabeth, and Casey Freed Jennings, co-founder of the documentary group. I Have Lung Cancer, which is chapter, I believe, 12, goes into first-hand account on the aftermath of Peter's on-camera announcement of his diagnosis. He had been a smoker for almost all of his life, up until the point where he had his first child. Then he stopped smoking. But too little, too late. This is a transcript of his announcement. I believe it's best that we let him tell his story in his own words.
Finally, this evening, a brief note about change. Some of you have noticed in the last several days that I was not covering the Pope. While my colleagues at ABC did a superb job, I did think a few times I was missing out. However, as some of you now know, I have learned in the last couple of days that I have lung cancer. Yes, I was a smoker until about 20 years ago, and I was weak, and I smoked over 9/11. But whatever the reason, the news does slow you down a bit. I've been reminding my colleagues today, who have all been incredibly supportive, that almost 10 million Americans are already living with cancer, and I have a lot to learn from them. And living is the key word. The National Cancer Institute says that we are survivors from the moment of diagnosis. I will continue to the broadcast. On good days, my voice will not always be like this. Certainly, it's been a long time, and I hope it goes without saying that a journalist who doesn't value deeply the audience's loyalty should be in another line of work. To be perfectly honest, I'm a little surprised at the kindness today from so many people. That's not intended as false modesty, but even I was taken aback by how far and how fast news travels. Finally, I wonder if other men and women ask their doctors right away, "Okay, doc, when does the hair go?" At any rate, that's it for now in World News Tonight. Have a good evening. I'm Peter Jennings. Thanks and good night.
Amen. Amen. One thing you'll notice throughout this book is that while the oral history recollections of his colleagues and competitors are in a straight font, and there are many photographs of Peter sprinkled throughout this book, his own recollections are slightly slanted in their font. And if they're not, then they are transcripts taken from special reports or one of his programs. In my mission to bring Hollywood home on a budget, we don't just limit ourselves to the stages of Tinseltown. Broadcast journalism, whether they or we like it to or not, is a part of pop culture. And so too is Peter Jennings. Godspeed. Thanks for watching.
And that is our program for tonight. Behind me is what we refer to around here as Peter's chair, and we thought it only fitting that it remain empty at the end of tonight's broadcast. I'm Charles Gibson, speaking for all of us at ABC News. Peter, Godspeed.
For 4 decades, millions and millions of Americans got their news from Peter Jennings.